Years ago, we used to borrow at about 8%. But now you cannot get 8% money anymore. Not because Zimbabwe is now higher risk, none of that. But it's because generally there's been a structural shift upwards in interest rates due to high inflation. Now we're borrowing at about 11%, if not higher at times. So clearly there is an issue. Next slide, please. If you look at the inflation situations I have said, you can see the peak in inflation in 2022, the global inflation, which is the blue, at 8.7%. That's very high. And clearly the global economy has highest inflation in 40 years. But look, it looks better going forward. This year it will trend downwards for 5.9 and 4.8. I'm just following the blue line, 4.8 in 2024. So, but it's still high inflation. It's still high inflation. We have every reason to be concerned about importing that inflation, but also borrowing at higher interest rates globally. Next slide, please. There's a lot of numbers here. This is just looking at the commodity trend. What happened is that these GDP growth figures, especially for a country like China, they drive the sentiment on global commodity prices. And we're a commodity producer, we're a commodity exporter. So the moment you see Chinese growth taper downwards, there is an issue. So you can see most of these commodities, if you look at the numbers, just comparing 2022 into 2023, for example, all of them are showing literally a drop in 2022, 2023, a drop, and then 2024 a bit flattish, but generally it's a drop as well. So all these commodity prices, whether looking at oil, energy, non-energy, agriculture, grains, fertilizer, it is the same story. But of course, we like it when fertilizer prices fall because we want to import cheaper fertilizer. So, but overall, this doesn't help us in terms of exports. And we've seen our export earnings in the first 9 months of this year drop due to a fall in commodity prices, just because the global economy is growing a lot slower. However, I will give you more details. You see the numbers for lithium, for gold, you see the drop that I'm talking about when he gets to the balance of payment situation during his presentation. So just that was a very short, broad brush presentation of the global situation. It's not good out there. The next slide, please. I now turn to the domestic economy. So what we've experienced during the Second Republic is basically a U-shaped economic growth profile. Where 2018 with a growth rate of 5%, then 2019 we remember when cyclone Idai, when the ground growth rate went down to minus 6.3%. In 2020, just before we could recover with COVID, minus 7.8%. Then we recovered in 2021, a growth rate of 8.5%. Last year, 2022, a growth rate of 6.5%. And then this year, with the growth rate, initially when I did the prognosis earlier in the year, we thought the growth rate would be 5.3 for 2023, but my technical team says, Minister, we have a bit more upside. So it's now 5.5% for 23, 5.5%. Next year, I'll show you the figures. Otherwise, to tell you, next year we're expecting a growth rate of 3.5%. So there'll be a slowdown next year in response to what I was talking about globally, but also locally. I must say that really the issue for us in terms of what's happening this year is the whole kind of El Nino situation, and also some of the power outages have not been helpful in terms of supporting industry, hence the slowdown and GDP growth. But El Nino is what we should really watch out for. It is going to hurt agriculture. And most of you are farmers here, so you know what I'm talking about. Next slide, please. Then in terms of which sectors are driving the economy, just looking at 2023, we can see agriculture at 9.7%, that's quite high. You can see accommodation, food activities. This is the tourism sector plus restaurants and so forth. That's the star performer at 20.5% in terms of the 2023 projections. The laggards, those that are a lot slower, I see 0.7. What's that sector? Is that professional activities? And what else is slow? 0.9. Number 4, which is electricity. That's flat. I think we're going to big jump in 2021, 2022, but now that's flat. And then we see also the figures for 2024. I might as well tell you about that. You can see in agriculture 2024, we expect negative growth next year because of the El Nino effect, and the rest of the figures are there for you to appreciate. Next slide, please. Yes, here I just wanted to show you which are the largest sectors in the economy, or the share of each important sector in the economy. Looking at it, just the 2023 figures. Because in 2023, you can see that the mining sector is by 12.6%. Agriculture is 12.6%, and mining is at 13.2%. But the largest sector is actually wholesale and retail trade sector. Where in the UK they used to say we're a nation of shopkeepers. They were too far from that. But it tells you that this service sector is very, very important. It is 18.8%. The rest are there for you to appreciate. You've seen the financial service sector is moved up from 7.5 in 2021 to 8.2%. And you can see which ones are small sectors. But there we are. I think the highlights are back. The wholesale and retail sector is large. And then the mining and agricultural sectors, good idea, hold it. Maybe a few comments about the agricultural sector. Next slide, please. The growth in the sector, you can see since 2018, we had an 18.4% growth in 2018, then the dip in 2019 at 10.4%, and then 4.1% in 2020, and now up to 2023 we're looking at that growth of above 10%. Next slide, please. Then just some useful takeaways about production. You can see in 2017 we produced about 2.2 million metric tons of maize. Then went down quite sharply to 777,000 tons in 2019 because of that dip, but we've recovered. So this year we expect about 2.3 million metric tons of maize. On cotton production, it's been up and down, you know. Groundnuts, up and down. Sorghum, mainly up. Sugarcane, flat-ish. Soybeans, seriously up. I see 36,000 metric tons in 2017. In 2023 is 106,000 metric tons. So what we can safely say really is that we are now food secure at a national level. Doesn't mean that every village has enough food, but it means that some other villages have access, and there's also more food in our reserves at GNB. We're able to distribute to those who need the food. Next slide, please. Just the wheat situation. You will see that back in 2017, we produced 160,000 metric tons of wheat. Went down to 95 in 2019, which was our worst year, and now we've more than recovered. Last year, 2022, we produced 375,000 metric tons, and our prognosis for 2024 is that we'll be at 400,000 So it's looking good, and we shouldn't be importing any wheat. We should start exporting, frankly. Looking at the national herd in terms of cattle, next slide, please. Again, we have seen we saw the dip in 2019 from a very high figure in 2018, but there's been, after that dip in 2019, there's been recovery. You can see those bars, they keep edging upwards after the 2020 watershed mark. On milk production, it's been a steady progress upwards. We're now at 91.4 million liters of milk. But it's been steady progress up from as low as 66.4 million in 2017. It's steady progress. Now, I see there's also the same story applies to egg production. Since there are many farmers in this room, I think I should spend just a bit more time on agriculture. Beef production also just keep going. Right. Now let's take me to the mining sector slide. Thank you. Thank you. I think the story really about mining, the news story about mining, is the role of the lithium sector, which has started becoming a significant contributor to both output as well as exports. And as government, we've insisted that we need to beneficiate. You know, when you move from basically raw lithium to lithium concentrate, your price jumps up quite a bit. And then from lithium concentrate to lithium silicate, your price jumps 10 times. So clearly, beneficiation is the way to go. And I'm very pleased with what we're seeing from Prospect Lithium in the Gromonzi area. We have every intention now to move beyond lithium concentrate to lithium sulfate, which is really the next level. The table that they might even go as far as lithium carbonate, which is, I guess, one step below the full lithium battery material. So that is pleasing indeed. We will be able to maximize value here, maximize taxes, create more jobs, but as well as maximize export earnings. Basically, this industry has reached this $12 billion mark in terms of target. It's great progress. I must say this, the mining sector also has been driving a lot of the foreign direct investment that you see in the country. In fact, some of the investment comes in the form of equipment. So we have to change a bit of our accounting to make sure that we also account for the value of the equipment that is brought into the country, because it's value coming into the country. Either it's coming in the form of cash or in the form of equipment. It's all value coming into the country for purposes of production. And that's commendable. So you'll find that when we account for cash that has come in terms of FDI, we tend to undervalue the real value that has been brought into the country. Now, next slide, please. Then just a few figures, lots of figures. Just looking at our gold output, Gavin has a lot more figures. You can see in 2017 with we're at 26 tons, 2017. 2023, we are looking at 36 tons. So that's quite a nice, steady increase. Lithium, before 2018, we recorded zero actually. 2019, then we had 63,000 metric tons. Now we're at 882,000 metric tons, a 1,300% increase. Black granite, again, you see the steady increase. In fact, almost in every area, you're seeing that steady increase, maybe with the exception of nickel. Palladium also, we are from 11,822 to 14,214 in 2023. So that's really the trajectory that we're seeing in the mining sector for our key minerals, and that's what is driving this sector. Looking at manufacturing, the manufacturing sector, Again, we're pleased with the trend that we're seeing in capacity utilization, where we're currently about 60% in terms of capacity utilization, up from as low as 36% in 2019. So there's been a remarkable recovery, and that's why you see easily 80% of the goods on the shelves are being domestically produced. I now turn to the tourism sector. I see the slides are frozen. Keep going. Tourism sector. Again, we've seen the recovery of this sector since COVID. Before we had something like what, in terms of foreign arrivals, about 2.4 million people in 2017. And then we had a sharp drop to 639,000 people in 2020 and further in 2021. And then now we're back to just over 1 million people tourists who are visiting. So we're in recovery mode, but you can feel the sharp drop that really hurt the sector enormously. Just keep moving. Now, looking at the earnings from the sector, I must say that right now we are per person, per tourist, we're earning $1,000 per person, compared to $500 in 2017. So there's been an improvement in per capita earnings, although we have fewer tourists, there are less of the backpackers, I think, and we have more higher-end tourists. That's a good thing. Airline arrivals, we're down to 3 airlines in 2020 due to COVID, but now we're back at about 17, which is the highest level since 2015. And I think with our beautiful airport, it will attract more airlines, I think. Let's keep going. In the ICT sector, again, we've made steady progress. Just looking at internet penetration, in terms of data usage, we're making steady progress. So these are some of the drivers of the economy from a microeconomic point of view, which I thought I should highlight.